Hello viewers, welcome back. In today's session, we will see how do we enter the opening balance. In fact, in my last session, I had mentioned that we will discuss about the voucher types. So we will do that in the next session. And now I will give you two use cases where uh, what type of balances that you would be entering. I'm sure most of you know about this, okay, and especially for our fresh graduates who are getting into the world of tally, this is going to be very helpful. So we will see what are the two different type of opening balances that we are going to enter, and how are we going to enter the opening balance in tally. Okay, so let me just quickly share my screen. The first use case that we will see of entering the opening balances, that let us assume that the business is now shifting or transitioning from their existing system of accounting, or they have been maintaining their books of account manually, and now they are going to start using tally from the new financial year. Okay. Okay. Now you see on the screen, you have a new financial year. So in a new financial year, basically what happens if it is a running company, existing company, so you have your finalized financial statement, which is your profit and loss account and your balance sheet. So in couple of earlier session, we had discussed about how the balancing figure of your profit and loss account, which is your profit or loss, will get carried over into your balance sheet, and the balance sheet is going to be your final statement, which is going to give the balances of your assets and liabilities. Now these are the balances which will now be transferred to the next financial year, and then you start capturing your business transaction for the upcoming financial year, which is the next financial year. So what are the balances? So generally, when you are transferring an existing company balances uh, to a new financial year or beginning of the financial year, then all those balance sheet ledger balances will be transferred as opening balance. And when you check this balances, your trial balance will definitely match. Your debit side and credit side is going to be uh, same. And also when you see the balance sheet should actually reflect your finalized or the balance sheet that is submitted for the statutory compliance departments, especially the income tax and the companies act in case of private limited public limited companies. Okay, so now this is the balance that you're seeing. So now let us quickly see that how are we going to now start capturing this balance and the opening balance in tally. Okay. So first we will see how are we going to enter the opening balance in tally ERP, and then we will see how the opening balances are entered in the tally prime. Just for your information, there is no major difference as far as capturing the opening balance either in tally ERP or in tally prime. First, let us see how do we capture the opening balance in tally ERP. So if you notice here, we have loaded our demo company, and the current period it says is 1/4/2020 to 31st March 2021, and it says the current date is 1st of April 2020, which means the beginning or the first day of our new financial year. Okay, so now how are we going to enter the opening balance? So when we are creating the master, actually we can enter the opening balance. So in the last session we saw how to create an accounting group, and also how to create an accounting ledger, single ledger creation and multiple ledger creation. Now, if you have already created the master, can I update my opening balance because I've got the opening balance now? Can I update it? Yes, you can update it. Now, another very interesting thing and very important information that I want to inform all of you is that let us say that in case of a running company, okay, you have finalized your books of account, and probably you have provided your data, whatever is the other system that you have been using, let's say that you are using some other software, and you have given your data to the your chartered accountant for audit purpose. Okay. And generally, it takes at least 2 3 months. That is why, I mean, like, company, the income tax also gives you ample time for you to file your return for the previous year. Okay. So you have now given your data, and auditor needs to audit your books of account, and he has to finalize your books of account. Now the question is, from April 1st, new financial year, I want to start my capturing my transactions in Tally, right? So should I have to wait till my balance sheet is finalized and then start capturing? No, not required. So all you can do, that what is the chart of account that is existing for your company. You can start capturing those chart of accounts, even the balance sheet item where there are going to be opening balance, but you just create them. Now that is exactly what we saw in our last session, that you just start creating all your ledgers, which is forming part of your P&L account and forming part of your balance sheet. Okay, let's assume that you have created all your master, and you can start capturing the transaction. You really don't have to wait for your books of account to be finalized. Start capturing the transactions, and at any point in time, you can enter the opening balance. Okay, your existing new records for the financial year is not going to be disturbed. Let us assume that now you're going to enter the opening balance maybe after a month's time. Okay, so how do we enter the opening balance? So we come to accounts info. My cursor is already there on accounts info. You come to accounts info. Now I'm going to select my ledger. So I'm going to select my ledger, and if you have already created, you're going to alter. Okay, so let me just quickly create this ledgers, and then I will show you how we can get into the alteration part. So one ledger, let me just create and then capture the opening balance. So I'm going to go to create. So if you just, if I'm just pulling this, the opening balance thing. So we have this capital account, which is 4,50,000, right? So I have to now capture this in Tally. So what I'm going to do, since I don't have the ledger created, I'm going to create the ledger, where I'm going to type capital account. Okay. Now this is going to be under capital account. Again, I'm just reminding all of you that it is very important to select the appropriate parent, which is the under. So capital account, and these are the other additional information. It is not required. Just keep pressing enter. Okay, and I'll show you in the another trick how to come to your opening balance. Now if you notice here on the screen, it says opening balance as on 1/4/2020. Okay, so my capital account balance, if you see here, it is 4,50,000. So I'm going to now enter 4,50,000 as my capital, and just see the magic of Tally. So I've entered 4,50,000. So capital account, what balance should it carry? Right? Yes. So capital account is a liability. So by default, all liability has to carry credit balance. So I've entered 4,50,000, and now I'm going to press enter. And you see here, Tally knows that because you have put this new ledger that you have created as part of your capital account, we also saw the hierarchy in our chart of account, that what is the primary account of capital account, which rolls up to your one of the four primary account, which is your liability. So Tally recognizes that, and it automatically puts the balance as credit. Okay, so this is the balance as one thing. So you just insert the opening balance at the beginning of the financial year. Even if you have passed any entry starting from 1st of April, okay, you will not have any difficulty in capturing the opening balance, and your data is going to be perfect. There's not going to have any error just because you are capturing the opening balance at a later point in time, right? So I just enter this. And if you notice, okay, so the moment you enter opening balance while creating the master, Tally is also going to show you what is the difference in your opening balance. So literally all your opening balance that you're going to enter, all the ledgers with debit balance and all the ledgers with credit balance has to match, right? So now it says you have already entered credit balance of 4,50,000. There is a difference of 4,50,000, which is excess. So now let's let's just create another ledger. I'm just going to show you another ledger. Let's create HDFC bank account, which has got 1,15,525. Right. So now I'm already in the ledger creation mode. So I'm going to type uh, HDFC bank account, right? So where is it going to go? Now it has to go into bank account. So you have to just type BANK and then you have this filtered. So bank account, enter, right? And later on also you can provide all the bank information. Now you have to enter the opening balance. So now you, instead of pressing enter at least about 10 to 12 times, what you can do is that you can now use a keyboard shortcut, which is control end. So when you press control end, END button, so you have this end button on your keyboard, hold the control key and press end. Tally will bring the cursor to the last field in their ledger master creation. So now the balance of my HDFC bank is 1,15,525. Okay. And again, if you notice here, my bank account is part of my primary account, which is asset. So it should carry debit balance. Now, when I press enter, you will notice Tally is now automatically taken the debit balance. And now it says your debit total is 115,525 and you have a credit. And the difference between the debit and credit now it says is 334. Right. So this way you will start capturing all your opening balances of the ledger, and then uh, by the time you complete entering the last ledger's opening balance, either it is part of your liability or part of your asset, I mean, instantaneously, you will notice here that, all the opening balance that you have entered, if your debit total and credit total is matching, the difference is going to be zero. You will not find any difference. So that's again an indication that, you have captured all your debit and credit of your opening balance properly. Okay. So now, quickly, I'll show you how do we alter already created master. See how we can enter the opening balance for the ledgers that you have already created, and assuming that you would have already transacted also. So for you to enter the opening balance, it is going to be the same thing that creation of the master. So you come to accounts info, right? And select ledger. Okay, now we are going to select alter, okay, because we have already created. And we also understood the functionality of the alter in our previous session. Okay, so let me just quickly pick up the ledger proprietor current account, okay, which is 44,800. Okay, so what is this proprietor current account? See, basically all the drawings or the additional funds which the owner of the company keeps introducing and withdraws, instead of disturbing the capital account, you create another ledger called proprietor current account, and you will put it under capital account, so that I mean, like, you will know the net capital amount also. Okay, so and there are other in our next in our advanced session, I will also show you that how you can create a primary account under these four top primary groups. Okay, so for the time being, so I have created this proprietary current account under capital account. Okay, so if you take this proprietary current account, okay, so I put it under capital account, and now I want to enter the opening balance. My cursor is there on the name field. So now you know the keyboard shortcut. So you press Control END button, and the cursor is come to your opening balance. So it is 44,800. Okay. Now since I have captured this ledger under the group called capital account, and capital account is part of my liability. So what Tally is going to do, since I have put it under capital account, Tally is going to consider this as the credit balance. But if you notice, this is the current account or the drawing account. So which means the owner of this company is withdrawn 44,800 in the previous year, and that is the closing balance in his current account, which means literally 4 lakh 50,000 is the capital, minus 44,800 is what is the net capital, right? So since we have classified this under capital account, it is showing credit balance. Now the question, okay, so this 44,800 has to be debit balance. Since I put it under capital account, how do I make this as debit balance? Very simple. So the cursor is now in the debit credit field. Okay, so by default, Tally takes this as per the structure as credit balance, and you know that this particular ledger is going to have a debit balance. So 44,800, all you need to do is press D here and enter. Okay, so it will automatically consider this as a debit balance. So now if you see your capital account group has got capital ledger 4 lakh 50,000, proprietor current account 4 lakh 44,800, and the net of that is what will be your capital account group, which is your net capital. Okay, except, so now we have altered the master and captured the opening balance. Okay, so now quickly let me just capture HDFC. We have already captured cash account. Tally already provides, we know. So cash account is there. I'm going to press control end, and then cash balance is 12,400. It's a debit balance, is perfect. So I'm going to press enter, or I can press control A to save it. Okay, then I have another ledger called plant and machinery, which is part of my fixed asset. It is part of my fixed asset. You will see here. Then I'm going to press Control End, and then I'm going to capture plant and machinery 1,12,500. Okay, it's a debit balance. Control A, and then I have Raghu Enterprises, which is my sundry debtors. Control End, 75,750 debit balance, and keep noticing the difference in your opening balance. Then we have smart systems. Okay, that's my sundry creditors. Control end. The balance is 35,975. Enter credit balance. Control A. Then I have my loans and advances, which I have classified under loans and advances asset. Okay, I'm going to press Control End. My loans and advances is 50,000, so it's a debit balance. Control A, and now I am going to select my security deposit. Right now, if you notice here, so what Tally says that your debit total is 4,10,975 and your credit total is 485. There is a difference of 75,000 excess credit. Okay, so now I have the security deposit, which is going to be my last ledger balance, which is there in my balance sheet. Okay, so I'm going to press Control End. Sorry, I'm going to press Control End and enter 75,000, which is debit. And you will notice here that now my total of my debit and the total of my credit balances are equal. There is no difference. The moment I save, that means all the opening balance of my company, which I've entered, okay, as per my balance sheet here, okay, it is matching 485,975, 485,975. It is matching. So if you just come here, 485,975 is what you are getting, this figure. Okay, so you see this figure here and it matches. So this is how you enter the opening balance in the new financial year. Okay, now let us take another use case. Okay, the second use case is that you will see that the second use case is my. Let's take the second use case. The second use case is that in the mid of the financial year, you are now uh, moving from the existing system to Tally. So the mid-year here, I've taken an example of 31st of October, which means from 1st of November, you are going to start capturing your data in Tally. So again, in one of our previous session, I had mentioned about how in the mid of the year, while creating the company, in the video where we were talking about company creation, I was giving you multiple examples of the books beginning from, right? So now in this case, the second use case is in the mid of the financial year. I'm going to now enter the opening balances because I don't want to capture all my uh, the transactions pertaining from April 20 to 31st October. So what I have done in my company, as per this use case, I have now drawn the trial balance of my books of account as on 31st of October. And if you notice here, the trial balance is going to now carry all the ledger balances which form part of my balance sheet and also forms part of my P&L account, because I need to transfer all the balances uh, as it is the mid year, and I have not completed my financial year for me to generate my financial statement. So whenever you are transferring the balances as an opening balance in Tally in the mid of the financial year, you have to make sure that your trial balance is capturing all the ledgers which has debit and credit balance, which is forming part of your balance sheet and P&L account. Now for this, what we are going to do is that one is that I'm going to show you that how we can, in the company creation screen, I had we can, first is that you have to it's a good practice for you to specify that your books is going to begin from 1st of November, because I have my trial balance as on 31st of October. So we will see now how do we enter opening balance in Tally in the mid of the financial year. Okay, so if you see, I have loaded this company on Tally ERP, right? So the current period again it says is 1st of April 2020, right? And if you notice here, the current date is 1st of November, right? So this I'm sure that you will recall that while creating this company, I have specified that my books is going to begin from 1st of November 2020, which means all my voucher entry I am going to enter from 1st of November. So what happens to my transaction from April to 31st of October? It is there in my uh, other system, whether it is manual or some other software, all the transactions are available. So what have I done? I have now extracted the trial balance as on 31st of October, which becomes my opening. So 31st of October, this is my closing trial balance of all the account. So the same balance is now I'm going to transfer in Tally as an opening balance on 1st of November, right? So I'm going to create a ledger. So I'm going to say accounts info, right? I'm going to say ledger, and I'm going to let's say that I'm going to enter sales. Okay, so the opening stock I will we will discuss a little later. So I'm just going to show you that you have this trial balance which the debit total and the credit total is matching. And if you notice here in the particulars, you have ledgers forming part of my balance sheet and also P&L account. So let me take my first ledger, my P&L account ledger, which is my sales account, which is 15 lakhs is my sales. So how do I enter? Okay. So I'm going to create sales ledger, and this is going to be under sales account. Yes. Okay. So don't worry about the other options. We will discuss later. Now I'm going to press Control End. And if you notice here, okay, this is what I just want to show you. If you notice here, it says opening balance as on 1st of November. Okay. In the previous company, when we transferred the opening balance at the beginning of the financial year, we said my financial year is beginning from 1st of April 2020, and the books also is beginning from 1st of April 2020. But in this case, in this company, we have created the company saying the financial year is beginning from 1st of April 2020, but my books is going to begin from 1st of November 2020. So the closing balance as on 31st of October, which is my sales account, which is 15 lakh rupees, becomes my opening balance on 1st of November. So I'm going to enter 15 lakhs as the opening balance figure. And again, if you notice, sales is part of my primary account, which is my income. And we know that all income by default carries credit balance. Now let us see what balance by default Tally brings here. Okay, so I enter, and now you see the credit balance here. Okay, so again, you have seen this. Okay, the total difference and all those things we have seen already. So enter, accept. So this way, literally you create all your ledgers uh, with the opening balance. So quickly, I will show you how do you enter the opening balance in multi-ledger creation, right? So I escape from single ledger, I come to multi-ledger creation, right? So let me just pick up the ledgers under indirect expenses. For example, I have insurance, freight inwards, right? So conveyance, printing and stationery, salaries, rent, traveling expenses. These are all part of my indirect expenses, right? So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say multi-ledger creation. I'm going to say under indirect expenses. Okay. And we have seen this, how do we create it? So first I'm going to create insurance. Okay, enter. See, now under it is automatically taken indirect expenses, and now it is asking for the opening balance, right? So my insurance account has got an opening balance of 7,650 rupees as my closing balance for October 31st. I'm going to enter this 7650, 7650, and here again Tally will automatically populate the debit or credit balance depending on the four primary group which you have linked as the parent. Okay, so it is automatically taken debit. I come here, then I come to the next ledger, which is my let's say conveyance. Conveyance ledger, my conveyance is 11,659, 11,659. Again, it is going to be debit. Okay, I'm going to enter. Okay, so this way you can create all the ledgers uh, under indirect expenses and start capturing the opening balance in one single screenshot. And also remember that in the last session I also explained how you can create all the ledgers of different group also. So for that, if you just recall that we said here under group at the top, we said that you can select all items. Okay, you can select all items, and then here it will ask you what is the specific group. So you enter here. So these two belong to my indirect expenses. And now let me create my purchases ledger. Okay, now this purchases ledger is under my purchase account. So I can say purchase account, and what is the total, what is the balance of my purchase account? The balance of my purchase account is 11 lakh 45,000, right? So I'm going to enter 11 lakh 45,000 as my purchase. Okay, so this way you can select all item on top and then select the appropriate group and then capture the opening balance. So in one single screen you can capture literally the entire trial balance figures of debit, credit, and all those things can be captured automatically. So Tally will automatically capture debit, credit also. Only thing, in multi-ledger creation master you will not see the difference in the opening balance. Okay, now quickly, so this is how you start capturing the opening balance. Now quickly let us see what is the how do we capture the opening balance in Tally Prime. Okay, so open Tally Prime. So we have seen again. So all creation, you have master creation here, and then alteration. So if you have already created the ledger master, you can go to the alteration, recall that ledger that you have created, and then you can go and enter the opening balance. Right? If you have not created the ledger, you are going to create freshly a new ledger, and if that particular ledger is having opening balance, you can, as you create your ledger master, you can enter the opening balance also. So I'll show you how do we create this. So we go to the cursor is already there on create. My hotkey is C for create. I'm going to press C. Now Tally is asking me what type of master you want to create. So I want to create a ledger master. So I'm going to enter ledger, and quickly let me just come to this the beginning part, right? So which is my capital account, which is my 4,50,000, right? So I'm going to now type here as capital account, or the way we have entered in Tally ERP is going to be the same thing. So I have this capital account here, enter, and again you will use the same keyboard shortcut, which is Control End. So now you will see the opening balance screen, the field has come. I'm going to enter 4,50,000. Okay, and Tally again automatically takes for credit balance, and you also see here the difference as the 45,000, since you have entered the first thing. Okay, so this way you will capture the opening balance at the beginning of the financial. This is the example at the beginning of the financial year. Similarly, if you have a company, when you create a company in Tally Prime also, if we are going to transition from in the mid of the financial year from any of your legacy system to Tally, right? So it's like I mentioned, it's a bit best practice for you to specify that your books is beginning from whatever date that you are transitioning, so that you can now have your closing trial balance of that particular day and capture them as opening balance. So the experience what we have seen in ERP is the same, except that the menu path is slightly different, which we had already seen. So create is here, and then alter. If you have already created a master, you just go to alter, and then say you want to alter your ledger. Okay, and then let's say that let's say I have my furniture and fitting as the ledger which I've already created. Now I'm in the alteration mode. How do you know that you are in the alteration mode? See here, the title says ledger alter, right? So I know that I've put them under the proper group. So all I need to do is I have to now specify the opening balance. So my cursor is there in the name. You see my cursor is blinking. So again, what I'm going to do, for me to come to the last field, I'm going to press Control End. My cursor has come there. Okay, and then I'm saying I have 1 lakh rupee of furniture and fitting. It will Tally will automatically take it as debit, and then it also shows what is the difference. Okay, so this way you can enter your opening balance, okay, at the beginning of the financial year or at the mid of the financial year, depending on the need that you need. So the idea is, important thing that we have to remember is that you really don't have to wait for your books of account to be finalized in case of the transitioning at the beginning of the financial year. You can create your masters, and you can also start capturing from day one, which is the first day of your first financial year, which is April 1st. Start capturing the transaction at any point in time. Later on, you can enter your opening balance. That way your data is not going to be messed up. So that is important aspect that you have to understand. And also, you know that how you can start entering the opening balance. In case of a mid of the financial year, please make sure that you always specify your books beginning from, so that even accidentally you are not going to go and enter any voucher prior to your books beginning from date, because you have already finalized your trial balance as on that cutoff date. Okay, so that is the cutoff date that you have to specify in Tally, so that Tally in the back end ensures that you are not going to enter any backdated voucher. Now what happens if you enter backdated voucher? You have already finalized your trial balance. Now if you go and enter any voucher backdated, then your trial balance is not going to match, right? Because you've already entered the opening balance. So that is why it is very important for you to specify the books beginning from. Okay, fine. So I hope, I mean, like, this would have given you clarity on how to capture the opening balance in two different use cases. In the next session, we will definitely see what are the different type of vouchers that Tally provides, why this different type of vouchers are there, and what is the right voucher type that you will be using for what nature of transactions we will see. And also we will see what controls that Tally has brought in these voucher types, so that the user is not going to make the fundamental or the basic error while capturing the transaction. Okay. So thank you all once again for staying till the end. So see you all in the next session. Thank you very much.